What's going on, everybody? It is Grandmaster Mario here, and today I'm back with another psychology video. I'm going to talk a little bit about me. I hope that doesn't offend anybody that I'm talking about me. Like, this is not a video where I want you to say, to think like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. This isn't for sympathy. This video isn't for sympathy. It isn't for, it isn't to try to complain and say, oh, this person did that to me and this person did this to me and whatever, and I want them to pay. This is not that kind of video. So, if you can't handle me talking about this this very personal subject, then I don't know. I guess I suggest that you maybe click off of this video. This is kind of the reason why I have and I've struggled from mental health in the past. And please don't go around saying, oh, stop feeling sorry for yourself, oh, or people had it so much harder or easier than you. I don't want to hear any of that. So if you're one of those people, then I might suggest that you maybe not watch this video. Yeah, so it's all about pretty much why I struggled with mental health in the past, all my traumas and stuff like that. This is just to give people some sort of understanding and stuff like that. I'm not trying to make, this is not to try to make excuses for me doing this or doing that or whatever. Yeah. So, I've suffered through a lot of trauma in my life. I used to get picked on and bullied in every school that I've been to. Physically and mentally, I was bullied by kids and stuff like that. And at the same time, I was also dealing with a lot of abuse at home. Pretty much every other day I was getting mostly emotionally abused, but a lot of times physically abused at home at the same time as being bullied at school. Physically and emotionally and verbally I've been abused by kids at school and adults and parents and family and stepdads at home. And as you guessed it, my dad sort of did leave me at a very young age. So sort of suffered through abandonment issues and my mom and dad divorcing and having that adjustment of getting used to another father figure on top of that, getting abused at home almost every day, along with at the same time getting bullied at school. And I was the one that usually would get in trouble at school. I did sort of bully back, but that never ended up good. I got in trouble. I did have like ADHD and other problems as a kid. ADHD and disability and autism and whatever. I eventually sort of got over the ADHD, but then after the loss of my grandmother, I kind of had almost no grandparents left except for one. He's still around. All that stuff sort of builded up and added up, and like the being bullied and abused and abandoned, and I also got physically sick all the time because of the stress. And partly the reason why I weigh so much is and eat so much is, well, because again, this is not for any excuses, but when I was 8, we were sitting at the dinner table and eating, and I wasn't a picky eater. I ate like one plate of food at dinner time, which is actually a reasonable amount, and my brother ate like 2 plates each dinner. And I don't know why. I don't know why she said this to me, but my mother said to me, good job, Ricky. You eat 2 plates each. Something like that. I forget what exactly, but it was something along the lines of, good job, Ricky. You eat 2 plates. You eat very good. And David, you only eat 1. And I sort of took that as a challenge and started eating like crazy. And that sort of, soon as you start these things, it usually turns into a huge habit that you can't really control. And my eating habits have turned into a bit of an addiction, and it was kind of partly caused by that, plus also the stress that I had to go through as a kid that got me all these eating habits. And after the loss of my loved one and all that other stuff building up on top of that inside me, that's when I kind of really started getting depressed and feeling suicidal and self-harming and stuff. And I got physically sick all the time because of the stress. I was about 16, 17 when I started feeling symptoms of depression, anxiety, whatever else, like borderline mood disorder, other things like that. Even when I moved out of my family's home, like Paul's and Paul, one who was abusing, the abuse sort of didn't stop there because I moved in with some other people and I did not get along with them. Plus, people are also making me, pretty much forcing me to work here, then 4 hours of working at, like, say for an example, the car wash, and then have me bus all the way to ARC, then have me work for 2 hours at ARC, then later I would do sports, and I had to do that each and every single day, 5-6 days a week, and stress at work because I didn't like my job, and the people weren't very nice at my job. That added up, and eventually I had a nervous breakdown, and that's when I started admitting This was when I was like 23. But I had these thoughts and mental health problems and stuff. I've moved around a lot, about 10 times. I've had a lot of changes and losses of jobs, tons of changes in goals, and many workers have transitioned also. Injuries I haven't had really much of. Just busted lip when I was like 3. That was kind of my dad's fault because that's when he had to go to court and stuff for divorce. It was divorce court or whatever. I've had head injury and surgery. The injuries didn't really bother me all that much. The loss of a loved one, I don't know if it bothered me that much. I think the thing that bothered me most was, by far, I think the bullying and the abuse. The abuse really hurts. The abuse really hurts. That probably says it right there. That the abuse, abandonment, and bullying, it was probably worse than six or seven of the others put together. Yeah, abuse is bad. Abuse is bad. Makes me have a lot of sympathy for everyone who's been abused and stuff. That it's really traumatic when people go through abuse. There's another thing to abuse that also makes it more traumatic, is that it's very complex because it's like it happens like all the time, whereas these others, they only happen like once, maybe a few times in your life. But being abused is more ongoing and more constant. It happens way more often. I also have other family members that have been diagnosed with mental health problems. My mom, anxiety. My brother, depression and anxiety. My dad had bipolar, and so it runs on my dad's side and my mom's side, and I already have a brother also. So genetics play a good factor. And my grandmother's bipolar, and my great-grandmother had depression. So mental health has ran through 4 generations in our family. And then, of course, even though the trauma didn't stop until 24, I still felt the trauma. I still feel the trauma sometimes now, and I kind of have a hard time getting out of bed, going to places, getting a job, keeping it especially, because I've been let go from all sorts of jobs, partly due to my stress. I, of course, felt at fault for all these things, all these traumatic things that have happened in my life. I felt ashamed, a lot of guilt, felt like a failure, anger and aggressiveness, reckless behavior and some impulse behavior, of sadness and trouble sleeping, and of course bad eating habits, getting fired, getting in trouble, suicidal attempts, self-harm, tons of self-harm. My mom is a chain smoker. Being exposed to all that smoke and even smoking yourself can contribute to depression, anxiety, other stress, and mental health problems. I was exposed to that too for years. And I told you before my diagnosis, but I'm going to kind of go over a summary of what my diagnosis was. Problems that were more neurological, like happened pretty much when I was a young kid, that probably wasn't caused by trauma. Oh yeah, the trauma started when I was about 3 years old, getting abused and abandoned and stuff. Disorders that weren't related to the trauma that I've had were probably more genetic, were ADHD and disability and OCD. And then the mental health problems I have been diagnosed with that could have something to do with genetics, but could also most definitely have something to do with the trauma. That is severe major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder, symptoms of borderline personality disorder, mood disorder not otherwise specified, so it's a mood disorder, but they're not sure which mood disorder it falls under. It's either a bipolar disorder or a depressive disorder. And then I also have been diagnosed with adjustment disorder, which only lasts 6 months, and I also have an internet addiction. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. I was playing Phineas and Ferb earlier, and I'm almost finished the game. Phineas and Ferb, the Second Dimension. Did a Let's Play of that. And I'm also going to be talking about I'm also going to be doing a psychology segment today on CFRU. But this video actually won't be uploaded by then anyways, so yeah, but I'm also doing CFRU radio station and doing psychology segments on psychology. I talk about what the symptoms and causes are of mental health problems and sort of where to get help, sort of. So I'm an advocate for mental health. So I sort of have a job in helping people with mental health problems. I only started knowing about psychology back in 2014. I started really studying it in 2016, started doing tests in 2018, did really good on the test, and now I'm an advocate for mental health. And in school, I never knew anything about really anything about psychology back then. I sort of stigmatized against it because, I don't know, I was just hearing things from people that weren't true, so I kind of believed it. So I never really followed anything about psychology back then. In 2014 was when I really started getting into. In school, in my special needs class, I graduated, and I guess I would say I sort of specialized mostly in mathematics, sports, and work. Work, mathematics, and sports, although I'm not really good at keeping a job. I haven't really pursued any of my careers in work. I am looking for a job at a store or something, maybe to stock shelves or something for now. As for my dream job, I don't know. It's hard to say because there's one time where I wanted to be a professional video game player. There's a time where I wanted to be like a professional wrestler, professional basketball player. Those dreams are kind of too big, though. But I also kind of wanted to be a writer at one point. I don't know if I can ever do that. My dream job to have right now would be to, well, one time it was mathematics. It's actually hard because there's actually two things that I'm debating. I'm debating right now, right at this moment, whether if I want to be a writer or a mental health counselor. I'm debating whether to have one of those jobs. Because I like writing. I do writing just for the heck of it. So, I don't know. It'll probably be a job that I like. Same with psychology. It's hard to decide. Will I ever get to do one of those jobs? I have no idea. I'm kind of already 25. I have never really been a student in college. That kind of has something to do with my my typical school education level. Because I did graduate, got school awards, but again, it was not in a academic curricular. The disability that I have a lot of times having those limitations can a lot of times made me feel even more depressed. Yeah, it's not always easy having a disability, even if it is emotionally. Even though it mostly, I think, affects you, like impairs you, it also can hurt emotionally because having those limitations can make you feel like sort of an outcast, make you feel depressed and weird. And that's kind of what it did to me. I hope I'm not triggering or offending anybody by saying that, but kind of for me, it's the disability kind of did make the depression worse because it was kind of constantly all on my mind that, oh, I can't do what this guy's doing that doesn't have a disability. I can't do what that person's doing doesn't have a disability. Why can't I do that? Why can't I do what normal people don't barely have any struggles to do? Like, it's just depressing at times. Yeah. But it's a very common thing. It's a very common thing having a I think even mental health is having a mental health problem is a disability. Yeah, even having a mental health problem is a disability because it is sort of like an incompetence. Like, say, like something like depression is sort of like having a hard time. Disability is like having a hard time to keep up or learn as quickly as normal people who don't have a disability. But things like depression is like having a hard time to have real happy emotions like the people who aren't depressed having, or same with something like borderline. It's having a hard time to regulate emotions. I'm not gonna say can't regulate emotions because yeah, you can do anything, of course, and people can do with a disability can have intellectual or learning disability, can do normal things, have normal jobs, do good in normal jobs. So I'm not saying you can't. It's just, the disability or whatever just makes it harder for you to do what those normal people who don't have that are doing. Basically without any struggle at all. And whereas the person with disability or whatever can try and just not, can be very depressing at sometimes. But I try not to think of it. Kind of hope it didn't stress me out and bring back my memories, but yeah, yes. So that's basically it. Yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, please like and or subscribe. Hopefully I didn't offend people. Hopefully I didn't make people believe that I just want people to feel sorry for me, because that's not at all what I'm trying to do. It's just making people try to understand and understand my situations and understand sort of where I'm coming from and stuff like that. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like and or subscribe. Maybe leave a comment down below. Please try to hold back on the negative comments. I know it's sometimes hard, but yeah. Anyways, yes. Bye.